Coloradans are in debt to Washington, deeply in debt. Big spenders like Michael Bennet are spending an average $2.5 billion per day, wasting billions on pork and the failed stimulus program. The result? Over 100,000 Colorado jobs lost, bankruptcies at a 5-year high, and our national debt is hitting numbers that could break this country. Now Bennett's admitted, in my view, we have nothing to show for it. You think? Call. Tell Bennett to stop the spending spree.
Look, not only do we have $12 trillion of debt, not only have we mortgaged ourselves to the Chinese, but the tragedy of it is we have absolutely nothing to show for it. Absolutely nothing to show for it. We haven't invested in our roads, our bridges, our transportation, our ports, anything. What did we do? Well, we cut taxes for the wealthiest Americans, and we cost our kids $1.4 trillion. We said we're going to cut taxes for the wealthiest Americans, borrow it from the Chinese, and stick our kids with the bill. We have spent $1 trillion on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We borrowed all of that money from our kids. Medicare Part D, the seniors' prescription drug program that Bush advanced, might be a great program, but we didn't pay for it. The bailout that was ended at the last administration, about $800 billion, not paid for. And then the piece of it that the president and I own, was the recovery package last year, which was roughly $760 billion. All of that adds up to $12 trillion. And we've got to address it. It's immoral to leave this to our children. And I think that, or to the next generation.
Michael Bennet is outraged.
Not only do we have $12 trillion of debt, but the tragedy of it is we have absolutely nothing to show for it.
But Bennet voted to spend an average $2.5 billion per day on things like the failed pork-filled stimulus and Obamacare. Now Bennet is outraged.
Absolutely nothing to show for it.
Senator, we are outraged. You have wasted our money. American Crossroads is responsible for the content of this advertising.
For the Matthew Shepard Foundation to choose Denver to have as its home, I think that might surprise some people since they didn't live in Colorado. He didn't go to school in Colorado. There really wasn't that strong a connection. What do you think is it about the environment here in Denver that allowed them to choose this as their home?
I think a couple things. I mean, you know, the tragic death of Matthew Shepard occurred in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Colorado and Wyoming are very similar. We have some of the same, you know, backwards thinking in the kind of rural western areas you see in, you know, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico.
The progressive names on the ballot all across America echo the same exact thinking. This is a candidate for governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper. He was speaking about the Matthew Shepard case and the brutal murder. Listen to this.
I think a couple things. I mean, you know, the tragic death of Matthew Shepard occurred in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Colorado and Wyoming are very similar. We have some of the same, you know, backwards thinking in the kind of rural western areas you see in, you know, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico.
Well, I was just in Colorado a couple of days ago, and I was up in North Dakota, too, a couple of days ago. I didn't notice that backward thinking there in rural western areas of America.
When times are tough, Obama says we cling to our guns and our religion. Then Hickenlooper insults us by saying that we're backwards thinking and that the recession is in our minds. I'm fed up with elitist politicians who trash our values and jeopardize our economic future. I'm Tom Tancredo. I approve this message because Colorado can't afford John Hickenlooper any longer. I'll cut taxes and spending, and I'll bring jobs back to this state. Give me the honor of being your governor, and together we'll make Colorado strong again. I promise it.